That day of the month is a phrase that women are way too familiar with. Excruciating pain, cramps.
I think all companies should follow this policy. It should be a must, it should be a compulsion, because all women, they really, they go through many problems, hormonal changes, many things. So it is a really great move.
It should be, depends on who has the problem. There are some who do face a problem, there are some who don't. So we should see, like, there are some who literally have a lot of problems, so they can ask for a leave and it should be granted to them. So I feel if the bill has come, it is somewhat good.
At least they have started this trend. The girls and women do not take their leave in the menstrual periods because their salary gets cut down or something other reason. But this is a good initiative by the private companies. I would request the government companies also.
It's not necessary that everyone should get a holiday because it is a biological thing. If you are comfortable with it, so it's well and fine. You don't need a rest. So I would say it's a no.
All right, multiple points of views coming in where the subject is concerned. We at the 6 p.m. show want to put forth a few questions of our own. Now, will this menstrual leave, period leave, further somewhere down the line ostracize women when it comes down to the workforce? Will HRs be a little hiring women if they have to give them 12 days paid leave extra during the course of the year? Will period leave dent the fight for gender equality? Decades have gone in this country where women have come together to fight for gender equality. And now we're asking for menstrual leave. Somewhere down the line, will it not reinforce menstruation taboos, which we, as a unit where women are concerned, are trying to rid the society of? Will it not reinforce the same menstruation taboos? Or will it? And that's what the two HR companies that have granted menstruation leave are working on, that it will make a workplace more women-friendly. All right, before we go across to our guests, I want to go to Padmaja Joshi, my colleague who's joining me from the newsroom. Padmaja, we've got, varied response on this in the newsroom as well. There seemed to be a fair bit of divide on people who would want this menstruation leave policy and those who think that it will only ostracize women further.
That's right. Let's get a cross-section of the views. I can tell you, Preeti, as far as I'm concerned, I do not think it's necessary. I have to say, maternity leave is a different story altogether. I think women do need it. They need to spend time. They fall out of the workforce if they do not have the option of getting that 6 months of maternity leave. But this, we really have to learn how to pick our battles. Anusha, what do you think? Is it just like taking things a little too far?
I think it's taking things a little too far. I mean, we also should remember, Padmaja, we're fighting for rights that women should be able to go to temples when they are menstruating, Sportswomen should be able to play when, we are celebrating women in sports now. And, we're also reinforcing a myth that it's some sort of a weakness or, something when you can't work. It certainly takes a toll on one's body and there should be better fitness standards. But to generalize and to impose an idea across and to institutionalize it, I think it's taking a bit too far, and it has its own assumptions as well.
Absolutely, and to treat it as a sort of sickness. Now, Kamaljeet here, you all know her. She covers the Home Ministry, among other things. I'm sure there must have been instances when you have your periods and you'd be required to be out of the office, maybe even in extremely difficult situations. Are you absolutely incapable of working on that day? Do you need a leave?
I don't really ascribe to it. I feel that women for years, for centuries have been going out, working. They're a tough situation, but nonetheless, you can work. Now, there are women who have medical issues, there are problems, but they can always get a medical issue. But for the rest of the women who consider this as a normal routine life, I think it should not be a problem. I think on the contrary, I feel it helps you when you're going out and you're working. So I really I'm not one of those who would say that a leave is necessary at all. But yes, if you're falling sick, if you have a genuine reason, perhaps so, but otherwise, no.
But I also think it's important to get a male point of view because, again, in our attempt to try and make it, we want to make this not an only women's issue because at the end of the day, people who will be hiring women, large chance is that they will be men. Ankit, if you were to hire a woman knowing that they will not only at some point avail maternity leave, but they will also get, 12 days of first day of period leave. will that change your perception? Would you think she's not really, she's a loss-making asset in that sense?
You know, let me answer it this way. It's not about a man hiring a woman or anybody. Ask any boss. Most of the time, for most things that you want holiday, they would say, take minimum holidays. When one holiday again is granted to female workforce, of course it is going to make it little less attractive to hire them. It's more than anything else. It's just puts them under unnecessary pressure of already being conceived notions that possibly they will not make the best workforce. So it is only taking out the women and most of them bright eligible women out of the competition.
And be honest, it will also feed a little bit into the resentment that here are women who are getting, as it were, a free pass.
Won't you hear most of the men or your colleagues even as a joke saying, oh, तुम्हारा छुट्टी तो हमसे ज़्यादा है. So that is going to be there. I mean, in your annual appraisal, won't this be raised that they get extra holidays, we work more, and still if somebody is getting the same sort of an upgrade, they will possibly go and fight for that as well. I mean, it's unnecessary controversy that is being created.
Oh, fair enough. So if we are working less, should we also get less money then? That might just end up making women, as Ankit very delicately put it, Preeti, a less attractive option to employ.
Everybody's quite divided on that, Padmaja. Let me bring in Dr. Jayanti Datta. While in a short while from now, we'll also be joined by Sheetal Matre. Now, she is the Shiv Sena BMC corporator who has mooted the fact that there needs to be 1 day period leave given to women through the course of the month. Now, that is what Sheetal Matre says. We're going to be joined a little later by her. She's apparently stuck in traffic. Let me bring in Dr. Jayanti Datta, clinical and socio-analyst who's joining me from the National Capital. Jayanti, what do you make of this? You know that it's clearly this is a highly emotive subject that has got the women folk divided, because many believe that all periods are not created equal, where some women have a really bad and tough time and need that 1 day off while some don't.
See, it's a very personal, intimate affair. When you make it public, you drum about it, you talk about gender equality, you talk about equal opportunity for women. And let me tell you, every woman doesn't go through the PMS. And PMS means premenstrual syndrome, that you have a legal sanction even abroad. But to give just 1 day leave, I think it absolutely creates more of dissonance in my head, because I don't think every woman goes through that kind of a pain. If you do, get a medical certificate and get the leave. But why make it a farcical thing, saying, well, she is having the periods, she is having her charms. It becomes talk of the office. And you are segregating the woman again. You are making her an eyesore. And there you see, you already have opportunities for sexual harassment. The woman can raise her flag. I don't think in this country we need this. We don't even get sanctioned to continue with our religious practices. There are segments in our country where the women are debarred from entering the temple, even segregated out in the south. When you have your menstrual period, you're not allowed to enter even the kitchen. So your rearing is totally different. Your mindset is totally different. Very many women would not like to be loud about it. Yes, I'm having my periods. So don't, please, for heaven's sake, make it public. 1 day leave does not make any difference to the woman who really is going through the pain and the agony of the periods. Everybody, let me repeat, everybody doesn't go through this. If you are having PMS, if you are having premenstrual syndrome, if you are having the pain and the agonies, for heaven's sake, get the medical leave and stay out. Don't make it public. It's like, saying, well, I heard one of the ministers, he had in the manifesto that I'm going to announce special provision for the women who get raped. And, there is a special dictate from the Supreme Court.
What is the main point?
You cannot announce the name of the victims. So it's like saying, the main point is, please don't make it public.
But Jayanti, what is the reason that you don't want to make it public? Because there is this one train of thought which goes on to suggest that you don't want to, that we don't want menstruation leave, primarily because it will set us back all these decades that we've been actually fighting for gender equality. More so, it will ostracize us as women in the workforce, because already somewhere down the line you have to work, many believe, double hard. But my question is, your point of view that you don't want to make it public is because somewhere down the line it's something to hide. Why should we hide about that? Women have periods. Women bleed. What's there, what's the big deal about it?
No. You understand? No, I'm not saying hide. No. I'm talking about it's a very private, personal affair of a woman. Why must you make it public and make it a farcical thing? Everybody in the office will talk about it. Well, she's gone ahead. This is it.
Jayanti, my question is, why is it such a private, personal
everybody
thing?
Doesn't need
Isn't
it.
it time? No. Let's talk about the other aspect of this. Isn't it time to bring it out of the closet? It's a body function that women go through. What's the big deal of admitting it in public? Why do we make such a hullabaloo about it that it is private, it is personal? No, it's not. It's a biological function that women go through.
See, it's not a medical hazard. No. One of your viewers already said, one of the participants already said, it's a natural, normal phenomena. Right?
Yes.
And everybody doesn't go through the pain and the agony. Don't make it a kind of an excuse to take leave and segregate the woman out from the rest of the gentry in the
so that
workplace.
Should be the point.
I want the women to work hand in hand with the men, unless and until you have. Yes. So why you are picking up issues, which are personal, which are private? Every woman doesn't have that kind of a problem. For heaven's sake, don't make it like that, Don't try to segregate out. Women are capable. They are going into every field, every sphere. So don't try to make this an issue to segregate out them from the men folk.
So Jayanti, that's what I come down to. So the main question shouldn't be whether it is a private, personal thing. No, it should not be. It should be out in the open as a bodily, biological function where women are concerned. But on the other hand, do you reckon that somewhere down the line, it will ostracize women more in the workforce? Because, the argument given in favor of this is that earlier on, workspaces were put together and were organized keeping only men in mind. By doing something like that, you're making a workspace more women-friendly. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree. No, I don't agree. You get maternity leave, you get your medical problems if you have as I said, PMS is granted, even the legal sanctions abroad. If you commit some kind of an offense and if you can prove that medically you were having PMS, you are given you dealt with lot of leniency. Do that. If you have a problem, go ahead, produce the medical certificate. Why must you make it a rudimentary kind of a thing? Every month you have one leave. And as somebody also said, that yes, you have, reservations. If you have to employ a woman, you will have to think about, 12 extra leave for her. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to create a kind of a discrepancy between the male and the females? Obviously, nobody would see you with this kind of a thing. You will always get one leave extra. You will get 12 leaves extra. I don't think that works. You need that kind of a bonding with your male colleagues, irrespective of a gender. Mind you, I'm repeating myself. Right. If you have a problem, if you have a medical problem, go ahead and take the leave. Let the organizations grant that. But don't make it a kind of a regular feature.
Right.
Okay?
So somewhere down the line, basically, you, as women in this country, we've been fighting for a level playing field. And by asking for a menstruation leave, a day off during our periods, are we sabotaging that same level playing field that we have demanded for decades now? Appreciate you joining us, Dr. Jayanti. It's sad that we were not joined by Sheetal Matre. I believe she's been caught up in traffic, as well as we were getting Devlina Mazumdar. She's the HR head of the company Culture Machine. That video that you're seeing on your television screens, she was to join us because she has actually decided to give this menstruation leave. With that, now in Noida, there was a huge drama at an apartment complex in Sector 78 as an angry mob attacked the residents of the Mahagan Society. All of this after a domestic help was allegedly beaten up by her employers. Now, 4 FIRs have been lodged in the stone pelting incident. FIRs have been lodged against more than 300 people who have pelted stones and created a massive chaos. 58 people, 58 have now been taken into custody.
Stone pelting inside a housing society in Sector 78, Noida, barely half an hour's drive from the capital, Delhi. an angry mob attacked residents of the Mahagun Modern Society on Wednesday. They pelted stones, held massive protests, and even barged into the gated complex to create a ruckus. This started when a domestic help went missing a day earlier after allegedly being thrashed by her employers.
यहाँ पे हमारा भाई का बीवी काम करता है, तो इन्होंने 2 दिन से गुम है। तो इनको हमने जो सुबह यहाँ पे आदमी इकट्ठा किया है, जो हमारा कहाँ गया भाई का बीवी, उनको चाहिए। इन्होंने कह रहा था, कल शाम को कह रहे थे मोबाइल वोबाइल दे करके कह रहे उनके हमारे पास नहीं है। जो है 6:30 बजे करीबन इन्होंने निकाल दिया है, मार के हालत खराब कर दिया उसकी बीवी का।
But the employers have a different story to narrate. They claim that a video shows the domestic help was stealing money and the help had even confessed to her crime when confronted. But the maid was upset that the employers were going to report her to the housing society.
पर सुबह रे गाड़ा आकर के कह रहा तुम्हारा मेड मिल गया है, तुम्हारा मेड मिल गया। ऐसे जाकर के देखे तो वो आदमरा पड़ा था, तो फिर उसको उठा करके हॉस्पिटल पहुंचाए। पुलिस वाले ने भी बोला कि चलो तुम इसको हॉस्पिटल पहुंचाओ, उसके बाद हम इसका कार्रवाई करते हैं। तो अभी तक तो कुछ कार्रवाई हुआ नहीं है।
हम लोग को बाहर आके पुलिस गया, पुलिस को भी ऐसे बात बोला कि हमारा घर पे नहीं है, उसको निकल गया और पूरा रात हम लोग जोड़ हाथ करके बोला भैया दीदी देख लो हमारा छोटा बच्चा है, उसको घर पे तुम्हारा बंद करके रखा था, उसको निकल दो।
The employers say that the mob entered their homes, breaking down the glass doors, vandalized their apartments and even threatened their children with dire consequences.
रेजिडेंट ने, जो यहाँ पर रेजिडेंट है, उन्होंने अपनी मेड को बोला कि हम काफ़ी 1 महीने 1.5 महीने से हमें शक है कि तुम चोरी कर रही हो। ये बात जब कन्फ्रंटेशन हुआ तो मेड वहाँ पर वो बोली, कबूल किया कि हाँ मैं चोरी कर रही हूँ।
Police had to be called in to finally end the 3-hour siege of the housing society, which is a home to 2,000 families. This horrifying incident has led to many questions about how safe are residential complexes and that whether the security that is assured to residents are just hollow promises.
अगर मेरा जुरिस्डिक्शन नहीं बनता है तब भी एज अ कंसर्न्ड सिटीजन मेरा राइट बनता है कि मैं उस लेडी को जाके मदद करूं। तो हमने उनकी मदद करी, एक एफआईआर दर्ज कराई है और अब पुलिस को चाहिए कि इस पूरे इंसिडेंट को इन्वेस्टिगेट करे।
The residents of the housing society have now taken a conscious decision that they will no longer hire illegal Bangladeshi immigrants as domestic help. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, I'm joined right now by Smita, my colleague, who's joining me from the Mahagun Society that was laid siege by the housing help. Over 500 people, I believe, in the morning, and if an FIR has been lodged against 58. Smita, you know, this was an urban horror story that was just waiting to come true.
Exactly, Preeti, and everybody is afraid here that it can happen again, especially those who are residing on the ground floor in the society, because they feel that there are windows full of glasses. What is the current situation? What are you planning to do in terms of security?
We are having our internal meetings within our tower and society, like to be more safe, and the JLL, the maintenance guys they are having more guards, and of course still we have the police people on our gate. We feel safe, but what happens next if they are not here, or the mob comes bigger, more bigger, larger than even they can't help us. So we want a rectification from government side. They can look into what really has happened behind, with proper investigation, because we see this mob is led by something which huge number at 5 o'clock will not come like themselves because of support of some maid. There is something behind something.
The larger conspiracy you're talking about. डर लग रहा है क्योंकि आप लोग सीनियर सिटीजन्स हैं, यहाँ पर रहते हैं।
जी, डरने वाली बात नहीं है, लेकिन क्या है, जब सीनियर सिटीजन है और दोनों वाइफ हस्बैंड रहते हैं, तो हमें सेफ्टी चाहिए ना। कल का सीन जिसने देखा है ना, वो ताजुब खा जाएगा। मैं सीनियर की ड्यूटी दे गया हूँ, वहाँ भी ऐसा नहीं देखा मैंने, कल यहाँ हुआ था। यहाँ से वहाँ तक ऐसे लगा था पता नहीं क्या चलने वाला। मतलब इतनी
गुस्से में भीड़ थी कि कुछ भी।
आज भीड़ है ना, इकट्ठे ऐसे है, पत्थरबाजी की है दबा के इन्होंने, जिसके पड़े पत्थर उससे आके पूछो, वॉचमैन के ये चूजा पड़ा बेचारा। लास्ट
अच्छा,
में
इतने करोड़ों रुपए लगाकर आप लोगों ने यहाँ मकान खरीदा, सिक्योरिटी और सेफ्टी के नाम पर कुछ नहीं?
कुछ भी नहीं है। हमें अब दुख हो रहा है कि हम इतनी दूर से आए, इतने पैसे खर्चा किए, तो सिक्योरिटी तो होनी चाहिए हमारी। क्या, और हमारा तो ग्राउंड फ्लोर का है, हमें तो और भी डर है।
पूरा ग्लास है, आप
पूरा ग्लास है, कोई सेफ्टी नहीं है। और ये जो अभी जो गार्ड हैं, इन्होंने तो बचाया है, बट इनको ट्रेनिंग तो नहीं दी गई ना प्रॉपर।
Exactly. They're complaining about the training. They're complaining about the training and the security of this society, and they have paid crores and crores of rupees to buy houses here. They've saved money entire life, and they have bought a house here, and now they're worried ki what will happen in the future if the mob will come again.
Well, that day of the month, a phrase that most women are way too familiar with, excruciating pains, cramp. All right, there are certain questions that we at India Today have put forth. Will period leave, menstrual leave, somewhere down the line further ostracize women in the workplace? Already, most women feel that they have to work twice as hard to prove themselves. Will menstrual leave dent the fight for gender equality? For decades now, Indian women have come together to fight for a level playing field. Will it somewhere down the line dent that? Will it reinforce menstrual taboos that come with when women get their periods? Or, and that's the train of thought which some women believe will work, especially when menstrual leave is given, will it make the workplace more women friendly and more conducive when it comes to working women? We have Sheetal Matre, BMC Corporator from Shiv Sena. She has mooted the fact that menstrual leave be given to women employees in the government. On the other hand, we have Devleena Mazumdar. She's the HR head of the company Culture Machine. That video that we just showed you were employees of Culture Machine who are now asking that other corporate companies also adopt the same policy. I want to come to you, Ms. Matre, first. Why do you feel that menstrual leave needs to be given?
नहीं, बात ऐसी है कि पहले के ज़माने में 5 दिन औरत को बाजू में बिठाया जाता था, उसके पीछे कुछ भी रीज़न हो, लेकिन 5 दिन उसको छुट्टी मिलती थी। अभी अगर हमको छुट्टी चाहिए हमारे बॉस से, तो हमको बताना पड़ता है क्यों छुट्टी चाहिए। तो मुझे लगता है कि जैसे मैटरनिटी लीव है, वैसे मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव देने में क्या हर्ज है। एक दिन, महीने में एक दिन अगर वो छुट्टी लेना चाहती है तो वो बता सकती है कि भाई मुझे ML चाहिए, मुझे मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव चाहिए। तो अभी तक ये बारे में इतना बड़ा स्टिग्मा है या इतना बड़ा टाबू है।
तो आपने जवाब दिया, उसमें एक ऑपरेटिव वर्ड है पहले जमाने में। हम पहले जमाने में नहीं है शीतल जी। बहुत सारी डेकेड्स गई हैं जिन्होंने औरतों ने, विमेन हैव कम टुगेदर टू फाइट फॉर विमेन लिबरेशन, टू फाइट फॉर जेंडर इक्वालिटी, टू फाइट फॉर अ लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड। अब हम मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव की भी बात करेंगे। एक तरह पे हम बोलते हैं कि ये बीमारी नहीं है, इस पे कोई टाबू नहीं होना चाहिए, पर हमको तभी भी मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव चाहिए।
नहीं, बात आप एक बात समझ लीजिए कि आज मेंस्ट्रुएशन के बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम हैं आज, और वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस रिलेटेड है। तो आज मुंबई में सब जितनी औरतें काम करती है वो बहुत स्ट्रेस में काम करती है। घर से निकलना, घर में काम करके घर से निकलना, 8 साढ़े 8 बजे की ट्रेन पकड़ना, भाग दौड़ करके उधर जाना, उधर सब स्ट्रेस में काम करना, वापस वही ट्रेन पकड़ के आना। तो मुझे लगता है कि मुंबई ये मेट्रो सिटी है, वहाँ पे बहुत भागम दौड़ है, बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस है और औरतों के ऊपर। तो मुझे लगता है कि एक दिन अगर वो मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव, जैसे CL है, जैसे बाकी की मेडिकल लीव है, वैसे अगर वो मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव लेना चाहे, हमको बताना नहीं पड़े कि भाई हम मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव क्यों ले रहे हैं, हमको तकलीफ हो रही है, हमारे पेट में दर्द है, हमारे पैर दुख रहे हैं, मुझे हार्मोनल प्रॉब्लम्स हो रहे हैं, मुझे मूड स्विंग्स हो रहे हैं। देखिए 18 से 25 तक उसका मुझे लगता है जब भी प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं, क्योंकि तभी मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल बराबर नहीं होती है, उसके बाद मेनोपॉज का प्रॉब्लम होता है। तो मुझे लगता है कि प्रॉब्लम्स तो होते हैं, कभी इमोशनल होते हैं, कभी फिजिकल होते हैं। अगर एक दिन लेना चाहेगी, एक दिन अगर वो बोलेगी कि मुझे मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव देना चाहिए, तो क्या हर्ज क्या है उसमें?
जी शीतल जी, let me also bring in Devleena Mazumdar. She's the HR head of the company Culture Machine, who's actually decided to embrace the menstrual leave policy. And Devleena, I just want to, take off from what Sheetal Matre was saying. Decades have gone in this fight for equality. Decades have gone where women as a whole have fought for a level playing field. Somewhere down the line with what Ms. Matre was also saying, कि इतने pressure होते हैं, biologically इतने issues हैं, इतना दर्द होता है. Aren't we confirming the theory which always is played against us of the weaker sex somewhere?
So do cramps make us weaker? Does pain make us weak is my question.
सो बायोलॉजिकल क्राइम्स होते थे, होते भी है, तब हम छुपाते थे, अब हम नहीं छुपाएंगे. द आइडिया इज टू कम आउट एंड जस्ट अप्लाई फॉर लीव. एंड यहाँ पे जो हमने स्टार्ट किया है, दिस लीव इज एन ऑप्शनल लीव बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी सब्जेक्टिव थिंग. सो यू मे और मे नॉट अप्लाई फॉर द लीव. ये कभी भी हमको वीक नहीं करता है. Applying or just coming out in the open and admitting, yeah, it's my menstrual cycle and first day of periods is the time I go through my cramps. It does not make a woman weaker, as I feel.
No, I agree with you, Devalina. You know, I agree with you. It's time to come out and openly, you know, and be very open about things which were earlier on hidden. There were taboos attached to it. Yes. I totally understand with that. But why leverage it for leave? Because there are a lot of women who have absolutely no issues. Why not exercise the option of a sick leave? Why have a menstrual leave where a company by policy has to give out 12 days to women as mandatory leave? Why do that? Somewhere down the line, that glass ceiling that we keep talking about, we are only superimposing that.
Yeah. So menstruation is not sickness, is what I believe, and I'm sure you would agree to it. It's part of the natural cycle, and that's why it should be applied as menstrual leave and not sick leave. So when you're pregnant, do you apply for sick leave or you apply for pregnancy leave or maternity leave? Menstrual leave is just like that. Why should I hide it behind a sick leave and apply for a sick leave? Why can't women come out in the open and just say it's their menstrual cycle and they need a menstrual leave?
No, but don't you reckon, and you know, okay, if I can, I'll just ask you for a minute, Devalina, to divorce yourself as a woman to the HR head. Talk plainly, and hopefully you'll give me, an honest answer. Divorce yourself from being a woman and being an HR head of a company. As an HR head, would you agree that giving 12-day extra leave to women is conducive? Will it somewhere down the line not ostracize women?
Of course, because I believe productivity is a state of mind. I need not come to my workplace and be present in my workplace to be productive, right? And 12 days, it's optional leave again. 12 is the 100% utilization of your leave makes it 12 days of leave in a year. Some women, they just ask for 50% of their leave utilization, or some may not take the leave. So it's like that. It's not that it's mandatory 12 days leave in a year.
So you don't feel somewhere down the line, Devalina, that it's detrimental when it comes down to the fight for gender equality? It's not a level playing field then?
No, I don't believe it's detrimental because biologically men and women are not equal. We must admit that. And that's precisely why some countries are giving 1 year of maternity leave. Whereas paternity leave could be 7 days or maximum 14 days. So biologically, if we are not equal, and we are equal by all means, we need to respect that, right? We cannot have equality across. At a physical level, it's not possible to be equal. And we need to honor and respect that.
But, all right, okay, fine. So that's your point of view. Let me also bring in for a quick comment Ms. Matre, the BMC corporator who's mooted this proposal. What kind of reactions are you picking up, Ms. Matre, on this? आपको कैसे रिएक्शन मिल रहे हैं जब आपने बात की कि हम मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव पीरियड
रिएक्शन वुमेन के रिएक्शन तो बहुत अच्छे मिल रहे हैं, लेकिन मेल अभी भी थोड़े से हंस के बात कर रहे हैं कि अच्छा तो हमको अभी समझेगा कि लेडीज़ का फर्स्ट डे कब है, उसको इस टाइम पीरियड्स टाइम पे आए कि नहीं, या उसको पीरियड्स देर से आए हैं. तो मुझे लगता है कि यही जो टैबू है वो हम तोड़ना चाहते हैं कि हमको बात करनी चाहिए कि हाँ भाई है पीरियड्स में, व्हाट इज रॉन्ग इन दैट.
नहीं,
मुझे लगता है ये जो
जी बोलिए
जो जेंट्स के जो बात करने की उनका जो स्टाइल है या वो जिस तरीके से बात कर रहे हैं इस बारे में, तो मुझे लगता है यही तो हम चाहते हैं कि वो बात करे. आज बात नहीं कर रहे तो बात करे, यही तो हम चाहते हैं. हम बोलना
नहीं, वो बात तो करें पर फिर मात्रे जी और वो बात करें और बोले अरे फिर 1 दिन का लीव चाहिए, अगले महीने भी चाहिए, पता नहीं इसको दर्द हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा पर भी लीव मांग रही है.
नहीं, मुझे लगता है कि हमको उनके ऊपर विश्वास रखनी चाहिए. देखो कोई भी अगर हम कायदा बनाएंगे तो उसके दोनों यानी प्लस और माइनस दोनों पॉइंट्स रहेंगे. हम बनाते वक्त अगर उसके जो रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस है वो अगर गवर्नमेंट बराबर से बनाएंगे तो मुझे लगता नहीं है कि कुछ प्रॉब्लम होगा. लेकिन पहले ही निगेटिव सोच के चलना ये मुझे थोड़ा औरतों के ऊपर थोड़ा मुझे लगता है कि अविश्वास दिखा रहे हैं आप.
नहीं, बहुत लोग ऐसे भी कहेंगे कि हम ये जो फेमिनिज्म है इसको थोड़ा कुछ ज्यादा ही दूर लेके जा रहे हैं और एक्चुअली ये डेट्रीमेंटल है, काउंटर प्रोडक्टिव है फॉर द फेमिनिस्ट मूवमेंट इन द कंट्री. देवलीना, लास्ट क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम यू. A lot of people, a lot of women from your particular company have come out in that video that we're showcasing, asking for it to become a policy, a corporate policy. Do you not reckon that this would be subjective and not adopted as a policy as such? Each company onto its own, if they want to adopt it, but not, you know, as a policy we try and propagate it?
Obviously, the companies should adopt if they feel like adopting, but at a national level, I think the leave should be legitimized because end of the day, pain is a common thing, it's universal thing. So that's why if the leave is legitimized, it's only good for women, at least women who are suffering the cramps and the uneasiness on the first few days of their menstrual cycle.
Well, you know, many would say, Deblina, at this point of time, that for decades women have been suffering more for not having a level playing field, and they've reached a particular point, and then going back and asking for a day might be counterproductive. But thank you, ladies, for joining us. We respect your point of view right here in India today. With that, where the police have now arrested 4 people in Nagpur for attacking a man on the suspicion that he was carrying beef. Another highly shocking incident of cow vigilantism coming in from Nagpur. These were visuals recorded where this man was brutally beaten up. Despite the Prime Minister's plea that no one take the law into their hands, a mob of men allegedly associated with the local MLA thrashed this man, Salim Ismail Shah, for allegedly what they said was carrying beef, and he wasn't. The men are members of the local independent MLA Bachchu Kadu's organization Prahar Sangathan. The victim, who is a BJP worker, was hospitalized after the violent attack, even suffering internal organ injuries. The police have arrested 4 people for causing this grievous injury.
पकड़ा और पकड़ने के बाद में मेरे को वो जान से मार डाल रहे थे. मैंने उनको बताया कि ये ढोर का मांस है जो है वो मतलब टिकट के ऊपर में कार्यक्रम है, उसके लिए मैं लेके जा रहा हूँ, मेरा कोई धंधा नहीं है. और एकदम मार के एकदम ऐसा पड़ा था. मैं तो पुलिस की गाड़ी आई, उन्होंने मेरे को उठा दिया.
कितने लोगों ने मारा?
4-5 लोग के साथ. बस मेरे साथ में गलत हुआ है क्योंकि मेरा कोई धंधा नहीं, कुछ नहीं है. जिन्होंने मुझे मारा उनको सजा मिलना चाहिए.
Bachchu Kadu, the local MLA on whose Sangathan these men belong to, beat up that man, is joining us live right now. Mr. Kadu, these men belonging to your organization beat this man to an inch of his life. What do you have to say?
कोई गोरक्षक के नाम पर मारपीट नहीं हुई है, वो एक घटना है. कार्यकर्ता इतना अच्छा है, उसने अभी तक 50-60 पेशेंट मुंबई को लेके गया है, और वो वहाँ की जो घटना थी वो बाकी लोग वहाँ जुड़े थे, उसमें ये शामिल होगा, इतना उसमें है.
इसमें साफ आप ही के संगठन के लोग हैं बच्चू काड़ू जी. दीज आर आपके, जो ये आपने संगठन बनाया, आप कह रहे हैं कि जो पुअर पीपल हैं उनकी सहायता के लिए बनाया है, पर साफ आप ही के लोग हैं जो इसको मार रहे हैं.
उसका हम समर्थन नहीं करते हैं. जो भी मारपीट हुई है उस कार्यकर्ता को हमने संदेश भी दिया, उसको बोला अगर इसके आगे अगर ऐसा कुछ होता है तो पक्ष से निकाल दिया जाऊंगा, उसको कोई पद नहीं रहेगा. अभी जो मारपीट हुई है वो जानबूझकर की नहीं है, वो माप के अंदर हुई है, भीड़ के अंदर हुई है. इसलिए उसको उसने इतना अच्छा काम किया इसके पहले, अगर कोई एक गलती हो जाती है उसमें जल्दी पक्ष से निकालना उचित बात नहीं होगी. हम समर्थन नहीं करते इस घटना को.
I believe that's all the time we have. हमसे शुक्रिया बात करने का बच्चू काड़ू जी. Unrepentant till now, that is what बच्चू काड़ू is saying कि गलती हो जाती है, उसने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, संगठन से नहीं निकालेंगे.